Hi, everyone. I am Randy Cherney, the host of Snack Break from Source. Every Monday through Thursday, we take 20 minutes to cover hot topics in commercial architecture and design, including product releases, designer stories, industry leaders, and the impact of design. If you're tuning in live, know that you're automatically on mute, but you can use the chat feature to ask questions. You can also find a video recording on demand at tothesource.com or subscribe to the new podcast on Apple or Spotify podcast by searching Source Snack Break. So today is September 3rd. I'm super excited because we will be talking about lighting with Julie from Solus. Hey, Julie, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you, Ren?
Good. Before we get started chatting about acoustic lighting, which is awesome, can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to be at Solus, and what your previous life was like?
Yeah. After college, I received a degree in electronic media, arts, and communications, and I ended up finding myself working at an art museum, and then I moved to Denver. I worked as a video editor there, and then I ended up getting laid off from that in 2009 during the recession, and I kind of looked at my strengths and reworked my resume, and I ended up getting hired by a lighting manufacturer in Denver in 2011. So I've been in lighting since then, and I worked there for 4 years before I moved to Portland, and I've been with Solus for 5 years now.
That's awesome. So we are going to chat about one of your particular lines, but Solus has, I want to say, like 100 different lines, like more than 100?
Over 100.
Over 100.
Yeah, maybe more like 140.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have something for everyone, is what I'm hearing.
We have something for every area of the job. So my favorite thing to do is when interior designers come to me and they're like, here's our inspiration board. What do you have that will work with these themes or these styles? And I'm like, oh, yes, I remember seeing that over here. And I love to collaborate on that kind of stuff. It's like a fun game.
It's like you custom curate some lighting looks for us.
Yeah, I love doing it.
Awesome.
And we also have some resources on our website. We've got our new website, solus.com, just launched. We've got our interactive line card. We have something called the Lighting Exchange. So for anybody that wants to get more technical knowledge on the topic we're going to discuss today, acoustic lighting, courses on there and all sorts of cool stuff. So be sure to check out our new website.
I love that. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about acoustic design or acoustic lighting, just sort of as a concept before we dive into this particular line. What can you tell us about, like, what is acoustic lighting? Why does it exist? And how are designers using it?
Well, I'm sure you've seen a lot of shifts in office design over the years. We went from, having cubicles and carpeting and like lots of soft materials to more open office spaces, hard ceilings, wood or polished concrete floors, exposed brick, rough ceilings. So all of that hard surface, there's nothing to absorb the sound. So there became much more of a need for acoustics to be incorporated into the space with these new types of office designs.
We realized we were just living in an echo box and it was too loud.
Yeah. As stuff shifted, there became a need for this solution to solve this new problem that we've created. Awesome. With all these industrial style spaces.
I love it. We have to create a new product to solve a problem we created. But here we are. Now we have something really awesome to work with. So can you tell us a little bit about this line in particular and what it does for a space?
Yeah. So the last slide was showing focal point lighting, which is another one of our lines that we represent. So focal point, OCL, ALW, Interlux, Sattler. There's a lot of our lines that have come out with acoustic products, but today I'm just going to focus on Shaper, which is a line manufactured by Cooper Lighting Solutions, or formerly known as Eaton, previously known as Cooper Lighting. And they've come out with a really unique product called the Shaper Sense. And so we're seeing the Shaper Sense square product here. The square and the trapezoid product have been out for a little while, but they have just unveiled a new product, which is the drum-shaped product. So there's 4 different drums that I'm going to talk a little bit about today.
Woo! I love it. Yeah. So tell us about this product launch. What is it made out of, and what makes it acoustic? And what should designers keep in mind when they need to combine acoustics and lighting?
Good question. Okay, so Shaper has partnered with Filtzfelt, which I'm sure a lot of interior designers are really familiar with and stoked on.
Yes.
And Filtzfelt is 100% wool felt, and they've got over 60 different colors you can choose from. And the new drum designs give the designers more tools to work with in coming up with like a custom color palette for their interior design projects. So the new family includes the Duo drum, which is the purple one. So there's 2 different colors there. The Trio, which would be the one on the right that has a pattern, and also the index dimensional drum and the Ribsy. So the one in the middle is the Ribsy. So lots to work with there, and allows you to get a little creative with that. So I think that's great that they've partnered with such a great company.
Yeah. One of the things I love a lot and comes up a lot with our clients is that wool is a renewable material. It is inherently flame resistant. There's a lot that's great about wool. It's one of those like old school materials that's come back. Oh, we've got our first question. Great. How are these cleaned?
Oh, that's a great question. Which is really important during this time of pandemic. They can actually be steam cleaned up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and viruses can't live above 157 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, they're easily cleaned, and you'll see a lot of information on the cut sheets about that. So that'll answer a lot of questions you may have. They put together really great resources with their brochures and their cut sheets.
So easy peasy. Yeah.
Steam clean. Yep.
Great. And so when a designer is working with these products, they first choose the type of drum, so the style, and then do they get to pick the colors as well?
Yeah, so you can pick your colors. There's a configurator. If you go to the Cooper Lighting Solutions website and you go to the product page, there's a configurator link, so you can see it configured in real time. And then there's also a section on there which is an acoustic calculator. So once you load the configurator, there's a little tab on the right that says Acoustic Calculator, and you can actually see how it compares to acoustic tiles. So you can plug in, all you need is your NRC coefficient, your noise reduction coefficient of the tiles, the size of the tiles, and the number that you're using or trying to replace. So there was an example that I saw that was like using 1,000 2x2 tiles, and they want to have 15 fixtures in the space. And so it calculated that those 15 fixtures could reduce the number of tiles to only 80% of the original. So it kind of gives you an idea of how the fixture is going to affect the acoustics in the space.
Well, that gives designers like a real-time flexibility in approaching their design, so they can start to play with how an acoustic ceiling will work with these fixtures and do some mixing and matching. Because I know sometimes clients do still want that sort of industrial, no ceiling tile look, and so by playing with the configurator, cannot say that today. You can sort of create that look for them in partnership with these products.
Yeah, there's another really great tool that Cooper Lighting Solutions has come out with too. It's like an augmented reality app. It's called Light Architect. So you take your phone and you put it on the space, and your fixture that you've designed, you can like real time show your client what it's going to look like in that exact space.
That is pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Because sometimes helping clients visualize what something looks like is the hardest part of our job. Yeah. And that's a great feature to sort of play in real time, right? Like maybe we move it over there, maybe we put it over there. Great. I was going to ask, do these come in different size diameters, or is it one size?
These drums are all one size, but there are 2 other models. The The trapezoid model is bigger, so that's going to have the most acoustic properties. The trapezoid and box are slightly larger than these.
Got it. Okay. So here's a good shot of all the different sort of options. When a designer is working, does choosing different models have different sort of relationships to how the acoustics perform? And so can they kind of see which shape or size works better in their space for the NRC that they're looking for?
Yeah, you would just go to the configurator link of the other product and see, kind of do it from there, and it'll plug in those specific.
Got it. Uh-oh, you've gone, I can't hear you. Can I hear you now? Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
We're good. We're all good. Sweet. So, but that is the benefit potentially of choosing different sizes, is they do interact with sound in a different way. And
yeah, and I think you would use that to see like how many of them you would want to put in the space too.
Sweet. Okay. And so when it comes
to products too, by like the focal point product that we saw, that's like baffles, where you can alternate baffles with downlights or up and down lights. There's a lot of different acoustic products out there too. So if this isn't the particular look that you're going for, you know, people are always welcome to come to me, and I'm happy to give suggestions on that.
Awesome. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. When designers are working with lighting, and definitely when they're combining it with acoustics and like fun stuff like this where color and pattern is involved, what should designers keep in mind when it comes to correctly designing some lighting for a space? Are there things we do wrong all the time, or are there things we should do better at, or things we should keep in mind that you wish we thought about more often? I think sometimes lighting design feels a little bit magical, and so I sometimes felt a little like it was out of my reach a little bit to design it effectively. But are there some like tips and tricks that you can pass on to us?
Well, you know, I'm happy to like advise on particular spaces. I think my advice would be to, you know, use me and your local lighting reps as a resource for that if you're not super familiar with lighting.
Go to the experts.
Yeah, no, we're happy to help. We're like always available to field questions. You know, things to consider is, you know, color temperature will affect the space, and we're seeing a lot of warmer color temperatures specified, like 2700K, 3000K, but maybe that's not the look you're going for. So a lot of times, like familiarizing yourself and maybe doing a little bit of a mock-up is always a good thing too, and seeing a sample in person. One unique thing about this product is that it uses, basically the light engine in here is, when it's off, it is clear. It uses the wave stream technology, which is an edgelit technology. So there's a lot of really interesting ways you can think of to incorporate that into the space. Like if you have skylights and you do some daylight harvesting, you hook this up to, like for instance, the wavelengths control system, which is also Cooper Lighting Solutions. You can do some daylight harvesting where you, the light fixture will automatically dim, allowing some of that natural light to come through and adjust the light levels and be a little more energy efficient. So yeah, I would say, yeah, like look into lighting controls. It's really not as complicated as it sounds. And then also consult the cut sheets, because there's so much useful information on there that it really answers a lot of questions. Like they have everything from, you know, how to clean it, and, you know, the minimum and maximum mounting heights. They have little graphics of a person for scale to show what the light fixture looks like next to a person, or, you know, the light fixture suspended at 10 feet with a 6 foot tall human. So yeah, get familiar with the cut sheets, and you'll find a lot of really useful information there that will help you out.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about like what is the cool new thing in LED technology right now? Because I feel like it gets better like every 2 weeks. I can barely keep up. So what is some cool stuff that you're seeing, not just with like acoustic lighting, but like what are some things that are really innovative or really exciting that you're seeing sort of coming down the pike, or trends you're seeing in design these days?
There's a lot of really cool systems out there, like the floss running magnet and tracking magnet, where it's like it's a track-based system where the lighting elements just pop in with magnets, and you can kind of adjust those as needed. If you have a space that changes and it's a lobby during the day and it becomes an event space at night or something like that, I think those are some of my favorite products. But there's a lot of cool systems coming out in that area. And then there's a lot of technology that's incorporated into the light fixtures too. So you can use the light fixtures for like asset tracking and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that control systems can do to tie all of the systems in the building together. You know, and not just the lighting, but kind of from, I mean, that's kind of outside of the realm of what interior designers need to think about, but you know, controls are important too.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of neat stuff come out on the controls front.
Awesome. And so speaking of these are LEDs, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
These are edge lit. The LEDs are around the outside, and then it's perfectly clear when it's off, and it's got like an 83% transmission rate, I believe. And it's got these specifically designed optics that throw the light where it needs to be. And the distribution on these drums is 55% up and 45% down. So you're going to avoid that cave-like feeling where all the light's going down. You're going to have a little uplight as well. That's
great. And if they are edge lit, does that mean that when you look into it, you're not seeing a super bright bulb?
Yeah, exactly. It's very diffuse. I believe these have a very like low reflectance rating of like in the low teens. Yeah.
Got it.
Very low glare.
So these would be pretty ideal above like common spaces where people are together and you need to capture that sound that's going bright up, but you don't have to worry about it being uncomfortable, like that glare being uncomfortable for the occupants.
Yeah, totally. These are great for co-working spaces, even hospitality and dining areas. You know, you could have one over each table. Really, there's a lot of, you can get creative with these, even healthcare, since they're so easily cleanable.
That's great.
Yeah, and you know, you can kind of work with your corporate branding on the colors, and you can pair them with the Filtz Felt wall coverings and whatnot. They've got some neat, you know, you could tie in the color scheme and have some additional acoustic panels on the wall that are sort of doubling as art. So you can get really creative with it.
Yeah, I love that. I do love that it's a way to play with color in lighting, like bright colors, exciting colors, because sometimes that's not what you think of in a light fixture. Like you always have like statement pieces, but having something like this that really adds a lot to the space, I think is really exciting. Especially since it does two things at once. It's lighting and it's acoustic. So it's not like you have to save it for like a precious area. You can really do it all over.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, you're kind of like reducing your acoustic budget. So you kind of can play with some of that, like reallocating the funds to the lighting budget. So yeah, it's interesting to kind of combine it into a 2-for-1.
I love that. I love a good twofer.
Yeah, like dual purpose.
Especially when you have a beautiful wool. I mean, what's not to love? Sweet.
So one other thing too is Shaper has collaborated with 9 different artists, and they've created these 5 art books, which they also have on their website. And those artists have kind of come up with their own color palettes, and they have some really interesting color combinations that they've come up with, and even a monochromatic like color scheme with the textured version, which is the trio.
Yeah.
Look really cool because you're, you know, it's all one color, but you're really bringing out the texture of that in a subtle way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's great inspiration out there through those artist books.
I love that. So designers, you can check that out for sure. If you need samples of this and you want to talk to Julie immediately about your lighting projects, you can definitely do that. And so for those of you tuning in live, we just popped in a link on your screen that takes you to ask Julie any question you have. And for those of you on our podcast, you can check out the episode description for that link. And in the meantime, designers, do you have any questions? As you can tell, Julie knows so much about this. So feel free to pester her with questions while we have a couple more minutes. And in the meantime, You can register for another snack break if you'd like. You can smash that register now button. We have next week signed up. So if you want to tune in for some more snack breaks, we hope to see you there. In the meantime, Julie, this was amazing. I love talking.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And
Great.
we'll see more of these cool drums in our spaces when we're allowed to leave our homes.
Yep, we know that everything's going to be changing. The future of office space is really going to be changing. So we're going to see the need for focus spaces and collaboration spaces when we are going into the office. So I think this will be a really unique and useful product in the future.
I love that. And we had one last question. They asked if there was acoustic wall treatments that match. And
there are, yes.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, so these are, Filtz Felt makes all sorts of acoustic wall treatments as well. And you can get the patterned ones or the ribsy ones to match.
Yeah. So you can do the whole space in Filtz Felt and just really go for it. I love it. Let's do it. Sounds great, designers. All right, well, we'll talk to you later and see you again soon. Thank you so much, Julie.
All right, thanks, Ren.
Bye.
Bye.